All right, Shane. So, hey, they're leaving it up to the home fans to carry them to victory here on Saturday night in Death Valley. And, of course, we got old TJ Finley coming back to town. And I don't know if you remember that game, Shane, but the worst defeat I think LSU had last season. Do you remember which opponent that was?
LSU last year?
Of course, they had a lot to pick from there, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say the Mississippi State. I thought that was the biggest one, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was embarrassing, but to me was Auburn. And that was TJ Finley start for LSU. Now he's on the other side. That 48-11 smack down there. So it's just interesting how that all plays out.
Still giving Coach O's losses, huh? Man, I love the storyline here, man. So how much, I mean, what kind of quarterback controversy we have here, Mike? I am curious. Do you think this is a short leash type situation, or do we see both quarterbacks?
Yeah, it's so fascinating, and it wouldn't surprise me if we do see both quarterbacks. But based on this morning, I've rewatched the Auburn Georgia State game, and man, yeah. Bo is just he's missing left and right, and clearly, I mean, it was all sparked by the punt return. But after the punt return, Coach Harsin threw in TJ Finley, and there was a fumble by Tank Bigsby. If not for that fumble, I think they would have scored. I think it was 3 of the 4 possessions TJ Finley was out there. So, credit Coach Harsin for picking a moment in the ball game where the fans were hyped, the team was hyped. He basically set TJ Finley up for success, and we've all seen the play. He made the game-winning touchdown play. But after we've seen that, how do you not go with TJ Finley unless he's just a train wreck in practice? And I can't imagine that's going to be the case. So, but still, maybe why I say Bo Nix, and it's kind of sad that we're at this point, but maybe if you need some kind of like wildcat or, a goal line package. Of course, TJ Finley can run too. We call him Tank for a reason, but yeah. Bo Nix really is a dynamic athlete. So you may be tipping your hand at what you're doing when you bring him in there. But yeah, I certainly think you got to go TJ Finley, and maybe we do see Bo Nix at some point in this football game. But that is, of course, the first question Coach Harsin got when he met with the media. Who's going to start? He wouldn't get into that. He talked about firing his receivers coach, and this was terrific, Shane. Of course, we all know Harsin from Boise State, not very familiar with coaching in the SEC, still getting used to these rivalries. So he did not know much of the history of the Auburn-LSU series.
Coach, going with TJ Finley at the end of the game there, do you anticipate him getting the start? Or are you going to go back to Bo, or has that kind of not been decided yet?
That's not been decided yet. And, I know, depth charts come out. Depth charts are, it's a little bit old school because so many things change throughout the week and all that. So that stuff for me is, doesn't really impact anything that we're going to do this week. What we're going to do this week is we're going to get our quarterbacks prepared today and tomorrow morning so they're ready to go for a Tuesday practice. We're going to go out there and have a Tuesday practice. I said at the end of the game, I'm very proud of TJ. What I'm proud, and I'll talk about Bo here, what I'm proud of TJ for doing is having himself ready. And that's one thing as a backup quarterback, you get yourself ready every single week like you're the starter, and sometimes you don't play, and you got to do it again. So there's a mental toughness to playing quarterback and being a backup because you never know when your time's coming, and you have to be ready. And sometimes maybe it's 3 or 4 games, you haven't played much, you haven't really had some significant playing time, so maybe I'm not going to do as much this week as I did the week before. Maybe I'm not going to get in. And so you just start to slack on some of that preparation, and he didn't do that. I thought he was ready, and he came in the game. He was poised. Plenty of things for TJ to work on as well, and I think he'll be the first to admit that. We got to get better in these areas, and that's the beauty of going back to work. And getting yourself better prepared and playing better. So you got to perform in practice at the quarterback position to do that. So he had himself ready to go. Well, that'll be no different. You always need to prepare like you're the starter. Bo in the game, I made the change. I said that. I made that change, and he wants to be out there. That's the thing I love about Bo. Bo's a hard worker. He's a competitor, and he's that way all the time. It never changes. He's always been driven like that. And I fully expect that he's going to get himself ready and have a great week of practice, and then take what we learned in the last game, apply it to this game. And so both those guys, they need to be ready to go. Both those guys get the majority of the reps anyhow throughout the week. They all get different scenarios. We have those guys mixing and matching with the starters throughout practice already. And, we'll go into Tuesday and we'll see how they operate, and we'll see how we're operating as an offense. And really, that position is extremely important, but everybody on the offensive side knows that we need to find ways to put the ball in the end zone. I mean, we're there to score. That's the goal of the offense, is to score touchdowns. And we move the ball and we're kicking field goals. We have got to score. And it's been a while since we've scored some touchdowns like we want to. We're not consistent enough in that area from the last couple games, and so that's a major focus. Like, we have got to practice with that mentality that when you get down in the red zone, you're smelling blood. You want to get in the end zone. You want to score touchdowns. That's what you do on the offensive side, and that's really the goal we have every single drive. So both those guys will be ready to go. Both those guys are prepared. Both those guys did a great job on Sunday. They came out. They worked hard. They were focused. And
was there a tipping point for you in making the change with Cornelius Williams? And have you ever made a change 4 games into a season on your coaching staff? Have you ever had to go through something like that? And was there a tipping point? Was there something that said, okay, I've got to do this?
I wouldn't say a tipping point, but there was obviously a decision made that I felt like that was what we needed. And no, I haven't done that. And it's not ideal. I understand that. And I don't take that lightly. It's, it impacts a lot of things. And so I'm aware of that. And like I said, it was just, what I felt like, we needed to do over time that just was going to be something that, I feel like can help us as we move forward in that room and in that at that position. And then obviously for the future is, we continue to keep building this program. And so, what I think is, Coach Keesaw has got a lot of knowledge and has done a very good job at that position. I've got a chance to see it, but no, there's no incident. There's nothing like that. There's nothing that, like I said, Coach Williams, I got a lot of respect for him, and he did a very good job for us while he was here, of showing up and working hard and doing those type of things. But I felt like, in order for us to continue to progress like I feel like we need to, that change needed to be made, and it needed to be made now. And so I made that decision. And so, but I also understand that, for coaches and players, you have relationships with guys that are on your staff or on your team. And when people are no longer a part of your program, that's not easy. What we have to do now is, the decision was made. We got to move forward, and we have to now give ourselves the best opportunity with the people in place to go out there and play really good football and be a team that can go in and compete and be a type of team that can play for championships. Those are the things that we all want to do. And so I felt like that was the right decision for us moving forward.
Ryan, I know this is your first time coaching at LSU, but maybe in this series more than any other, games tend to go unusual, strange, odd ways. How do you prepare your team for that, especially going down to Baton Rouge and an 8 o'clock start with those fans, and whether it's going to be a fire or missed field goals or interceptions and stuff like that? How are you going to handle that and prepare your team for something that might be crazy going on?
Did you say there might be a fire? Is that what you said?
Well, there was a fire back in '96 in Auburn outside the stadium.
I don't know on that one. I don't know how to stage a fire, but I need to get some history on that. I've gotten a lot of stories from people that have been a part of this program and in this game. It's going to be all those things that we kind of talked about a few weeks ago. It's going to be all that and then some. I don't know all the weird stuff that you're talking about necessarily, but I do know where you're coming from, and 8 o'clock game, be ready to play. It's later than what we played, so that part of it, we need to make sure as the day goes on. That's part of Saturdays. You get to kind of lay around and do your walkthroughs, and after a while, let's get ready to play. And so guys have to have that frame of mind. We're focused. We're not tight. And when it's time to start getting prepared, we get to that pregame meal. You really, really lock yourself in so that you have yourself ready to play. And all those things, what you're saying, I mean, I don't know what's going to come up, but we just got to respond to whatever happens. That's what we can control. We can work on some of the negative things or some of the distractions or I'm not saying a fire, but certainly some of the other stuff that may come up in the game that we can have ourselves prepared for. And I think a lot of that's just a lot of your mentality. A lot of that is that discipline that you have through the week to stay focused on what's important, and then have that mindset. Like, there's going to be some bad things. There's going to be, I don't know, we talked about it before, the plane, the hotel, the bus, whatever it is, it's not all perfect. It doesn't go exactly how you want it to. Good. Take that as, and kind of just take that adversity and feed off of it. And when you go on the road, I think that's something that you should expect when you go on the road. There's going to be adversity, so good. What do we do now? This gives us another opportunity to challenge ourselves in a different way, not even on the field with some of that stuff, in a different way where we have to overcome it. Some people really like that. Some people don't. If you're going to be a good football team and win your games on the road, you better learn to like that. You better learn to be able to handle those things. And when something goes bad, good. Let's make sure that we're going to handle it properly, and every single one of us does that.
Hey, Brian, listen, some of us were down at LSU in 2001. We got mooned by Santa Claus. So, I mean, there's been some crazy things that have happened down there. I'm telling you.
Yeah, what?
I got mooned by Santa Claus. I mean, Jason did too. So, I mean, that happened.
Okay. All right.
I'm just telling you, got to prepare for anything. Listen, I do have a question, though. I do have a question.
What day was the game?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
What day was the game?
That was the year that it got delayed due to 9/11, so it was like December 10th or something like that. It was
so right around Santa Claus time. I guess that's why he was there.
Yeah, I don't think that was actually him though. It may have been a proxy.
Yeah, it seemed a little early.
Yes,
I love it.
All right, Jade. So, hey, even the SEC's getting some emotion out of Coach Harsin, this LSU football game. So we all know all the strange things that can happen. I think back to what was it, 2017, the year Auburn won the West, and they had I think it was 24-3 or 24-6, something like that. They were beaten LSU in Baton Rouge, and then there was a punt return, and things just steamrolled on them. So, man, this is a game. Coach Harsin may not know it yet, but your team could have a big lead, and it's never safe in Death Valley when Auburn comes to town. So it just feels like we're going to get some midnight shenanigans in this ball game, and hey, I can't wait for it. You know what?
Golly, Mike, I've slept since then. So that was a barn, I think, that caught on fire, right? Was that in Auburn? That was in Auburn, though, wasn't it?
I think that was the Auburn one, yeah. So
yeah,
I think that just the point being that you just never know what in the hell is going to come up when Auburn and LSU play at a football game. You know what?
Dude, and that was a crazy game. I remember that was on our countdown. If I'm not mistaken, that Cadillac was on there and had a long run or something. But I do remember it being a hell of a game. So if you ever get a chance, it's wild. You don't think about it, but you could see that fire over there and people looking over to the back. It was wild. So
who needs fireworks when you got a literal fire? You know what?
Yeah, you talk about a barn burner, Mike. You know, that's what this was. So, and don't be surprised if we don't get it again. So, these teams, both of them, they need to wake up. This is I think a mental check. This is what kind of team are you? Are you here to play? Is Auburn actually going to compete in the West? I mean, you went up there. Yes, you lost a sad game to Penn State, and you brought that baggage with you and played Georgia State with it. Okay, you may get a new quarterback out of the situation, which may help you win more victories, but you got to come out and show us that you belong. And then the LSU, it's like, this is the team, Mike, that people like you were saying, hey, they have a shot to compete in the West. This is a team that could potentially beat Alabama because of their talent. And it just feels like they just haven't woke up yet. And you're watching last week and that soft defense. I mean, golly, I hated that. I hate it to my core, Mike. LSU doesn't play defense like that. Yeah, I understand maybe that was the game plan with Mississippi State, but I miss the defense of old, man, with the linebackers coming back, blitzing, sacking, no problem running the ball. You think of Geis, you think of Leonard Fournette, you think of all the greats that come through there. Yes, I know that they had fun with Joe Burrow, but that ship has sailed. We don't have that structured team anymore. We need to get some ground game going, and it just feels like this is a wake up call for these teams. So is this game a week for us? What are you doing? Is anybody down here for this thing? They should be, because I think it's going to be a hell of a matchup.
Yeah, and I promise you one thing, Shane. If LSU's defense does not bring the toughness and physicality in this one, good luck, brother, because Tank will rip you a new one. You know what? So it's literally going to come down to that.
Absolutely, man.
All right, buddy.